for Hamilton's program to get started, you need some money to pay the interest on the debt, right? So you need to get some way to get this ball rolling before you've ever made any money, right? So, by the way, $79 million today would be about $2 billion. So it's a large sum of money. Now, there are a few ways to get that money, right? You can tax the people, but you don't want to do it so much that you hurt the economy, right? So you want to tax the farmers rather than creditors. If you tax the creditors, it could stop them from lending money, right? So farmers will always ask for money. Creditors give them money so the economy grows. So that's one way to do it. Or you could tax tariffs, right? You could put a tax on imports. Or you could impose an excise tax, right? That's an internal tax on items produced in America. And that's on things produced and consumed within the country. So Hamilton decides to impose an excise tax, right? So on farmers, right? He imposes a tax on alcohol and especially whiskey in 1791. Now, whiskey is made on the frontier, what is now Western Pennsylvania and the Ohio Valley. And farmers make whiskey because they have a lot of grain and they don't have a fast way to transport it to a port. So whiskey is one way you can take grain, wheat, and turn it into a product that transports relatively easily. Plus, it becomes a form of currency. It's easy to trade, and if you're a farmer, you may want to have a little bit of whiskey on the side. They do drink the whiskey, but it's mostly a way of storing grains, a way of transporting, and it's a form of a currency. Now, Hamilton proposes to tax whiskey. What he requires is that people who make whiskey should have a license, right? You have to pay for a license to make whiskey, right? But everyone had been making whiskey on the side for years. They hadn't been using sort of special services, and so this seems like an imposition on them. And so Hamilton gets stuck on passing a legislation that many Americans really detest because it gets to their sort of core of being. This is a tax on alcohol. Now, the farmers resist the taxes, right? At first, they just don't pay the tax, right? They don't bother to get the licenses. But then the tax collectors keep coming, and so they start harassing the tax collectors in about 1794, and they start destroying the houses of the tax collectors. Go away. And it starts to escalate. And so by late 1794, there are 500 people arming themselves in western Pennsylvania against the tax collector. And so George Washington puts together an army of about 12,000 men, and he puts Hamilton in charge of it to get rid of the rioters. Now, it falls apart before the army gets there, but they do end up arresting about 20 people, although they are later pardoned because they don't actually have any physical evidence of rebellion. But this is sort of the new government. One of the first things that they have now done is violently put down people who are resisting a tax. They may not have recognized the hypocrisy of that moment.